Breaking news tonight. A mother's heartbreak. Her young son found cold, blue. He dies from one fake pill. One pill. And he's dead. Why? Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
The fentanyl epidemic is striking at the hearts of families across the country. Counterfeit pills laced with the lethal narcotic leading to overdoses. Now families are fighting back.
Tonight, fentanyl rising amongst the ranks of other deadly drugs to strike fear in the hearts of parents all across our country. Tonight, I've got so many cases of young children, teens, even infants, dead from an unlikely encounter with fentanyl. Just one pill kills. And when you look at it, you don't even know what it is. Again, this is Crime Stories, and I thank you for being with us, with me, an all-star panel. But I'm first starting with a mom who is suffering heartbreak after her boy is dead from one pill. Just a bright, beautiful, shining boy, now dead. Listen.
Jack's gone. Jack's gone. I rushed over, and when I arrived, the police and the EMT were there. My husband had worked on him for 30 minutes, and he told me his fingers were blue, he was already cold. The EMT worked on him for an hour.
You are hearing Jack O'Kelly's mother, Angela, speaking out. Angela King. With me, as I said, an all-star panel, but first to Angela King. Miss King, thank you for being with us, and I do not like making a crime victim relive what happened. But Miss King, there are literally millions of people that will see you tonight and hear your voice who are suffering as you and your husband have suffered. What happened the day that Jack died?
Well, the night before Thanksgiving, Jack had come home, as all of our other children did, from college, and he went out with a group of friends, celebrating, seeing everyone. They went out. He spent the night out at a friend's house, and the next morning, we were getting ready for Thanksgiving, and Jack wasn't answering the phone. So my husband called the parents, and they said, "Oh, we just checked on them. The boys are all still sleeping. We've gone out for a walk. Come on over. The front door is unlocked." So he drove over, literally right around the corner from us, and Jack was unresponsive. The other boys were not aware of that. His fingers were blue, and he was already gone. My husband worked frantically on him for 30 minutes while the EMTs came. We all went over to the house, and the EMTs worked on him for an hour, but we knew he was gone. The most horrific day of our lives. It's unimaginable.
Yes, exactly. And the one pill that he thinks is a Xanax or a Valium is actually laced with deadly fentanyl. You know, you are hearing a loving mother who is now living through the worst time, the darkest time of her life. And I noticed that you're doing what I did when my fiance was murdered and still do. I can't say he's dead. For years, all I could say is he's gone. And I'm not sure why that's true, but it is. Guys, what happened that morning, the morning that Angela is describing? Listen.
We woke up Thanksgiving morning, ready to celebrate. One of Jack's favorite holidays. My husband started calling Jack in the morning to come home to get ready, and Jack didn't answer his phone. He called the parents, and they said, "Oh, we just looked in, and all the boys are still sleeping. Come on over. We're going for a walk at the park. The front door's open. Just come on over." So he drove over, and a few minutes later, he called me in a complete panic.
A complete panic with me, an all-star panel. But I want to go to a veteran trial lawyer joining us, a criminal defense attorney in Atlanta, in the jurisdiction where so much fentanyl is flooding the market. It seems to be an endless battle. And, you know, Ray Giudice with me at rayglaw.com, high-profile lawyer, wins a lot of cases. But when I first started as a rookie prosecutor, Ray was on the other side of the fence. Actually, first you were a prosecutor in another jurisdiction, then you became a defense attorney. And for the longest time, you know, we were practicing against each other. I wouldn't even mention to anyone ever, and this went on for the full 10 years I was in the DA's office, that my fiance had been murdered. And I could never say dead. If I had to say it, it would be gone. You've dealt with a lot of crime victims, Ray. This is not uncommon.
Unfortunately, Nancy, it's not, and my condolences to this family of what appears to be just an absolutely wonderful young man. We both have friends of our law school friends who have young adults in this age bracket. You are right about the fentanyl scourge in Fulton County. And I'm sure the doctor can opine on this better than I can, but you don't need a whole pill of fentanyl. You need a grain of fentanyl, which is why when they find an amount of fentanyl in somebody's apartment or car, law enforcement will say it was enough to kill 10,000 people. This is nuclear waste of drugs. It's so deadly. It's so silent. It's laced in so many things that, especially our young adults, maybe in a party situation, maybe in a situation of being a little, having a good time, get something in their system that's laced with fentanyl and just disastrous results.
All of our children came over that morning. The screams, the wails, the absolute terror, shock, fear, and pain that we endured that morning. No parent, no sibling, no human should ever have to experience. It was the most devastating day of our lives.
Joining us, Angela O'Kelly, describing the discovery of her son, Jack, dead. Her husband tried valiantly, EMTs tried valiantly, but by the time Jack was found, there at a sleepover with a group of friends from school, they had no idea that as they all lay sleeping, Jack was dying. Angela, when did you learn the COD, cause of death?
We didn't find out until the autopsy results. So those came a while after he had died.
That morning, and it's Thanksgiving, you're all getting everything ready. I guess you, like me, make a big turkey. We have a turkey off where one is baked and one is smoked, and we compare. I lose every year. All the family there, everybody's running around, and no Jack. He doesn't show up. When you got that call from your husband, What happened?
I was completely devastated. Of course, thinking this couldn't be happening. This is surreal. Jack just went out with his friends like everybody else did, and there's no way anything could be this wrong. So it was so surreal, but so real at the same time.
In that moment, where were you? In the kitchen? Was everybody there? Was the oven on and everything's going along? And then the harsh dichotomy, the stark dichotomy of getting this call.
It was earlier in the morning, but still, of course, trying to get everybody ready. We have 6 children, and so everybody getting ready. This was Jack's favorite holiday, and just never in a million years would we ever imagine something like this happening. But Nancy, it's happening every day. It's going to continue to happen. We have a serious problem on our hands, and people are not talking about it. Children do not know. These parents don't know. And I'm doing everything that I can. It's only been 6 months, a little over 6 months, but I'm committed to doing anything that I can do to get the word out, to speak to schools, churches, communities, whatever I can do. We've got to start talking about this because it's not going away. Fentanyl's coming into this country by the boatloads from Mexico, from China to Mexico into this country with our open borders. And we have a serious problem. And anything that I can do to save a life, I'm willing to do. I've gotten emails from people whose parents have said, because of you speaking out, my child has come to me and said, you know what, I may have a problem. I've been doing illegal, I've been doing drugs and I'm addicted now. I need to go into rehab. So I'm hoping that I'm making a difference and saving a life. That's what Jack wanted. Jack left, just like it says in the Bible. Jack left so that we can live. And I'm committed. Really, I don't know why this is not on the front page of every newspaper in this country, why it's not talked about on the news daily. Every 5 minutes, somebody's dying of fentanyl in this country. We have to start doing something about it. We have to start talking about it. I want to take this and do a campaign just like MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, that was so impactful years ago. That's where we are right now with fentanyl. It is in everything. The drug dealers are putting it in every drug. And there has to be something done about it. And on a large scale, we have to come together and start talking.
Angela King joining us, her son, just literally scrubbed in sunshine. He honor student, so smart. It was on the football team, loved everybody, had a huge group of friends at UGA, loved UGA. Just an incredible young man that you raised. You raised this little miracle into a man, a wonderful young man just starting his life. When you discovered what had happened, I know it was unbelievable. He had never had a drug or alcohol problem like so many other parents. You think everything's just merrily we go along. It's working out. Everything's fine. And then this. What is your understanding of what happened that night, Angela?
He was with friends, having a good time. And from our understanding, he made a fatal mistake, one that should not have cost him his life. It was a murder. It was a poisoning. This was an intentional poisoning. That's what's happening with this fentanyl. There is accountability, of course. He did take a pill. Should he have not taken a pill? Absolutely. Was it a stupid choice? Absolutely. And Jack knew better. Jack didn't take a pill to die. He didn't overdose on a pill. He was poisoned. This is something that we were shocked to hear of. And if it's happening to Jack, it's happening all around. These college campuses is full of drugs. Kids are passing it around like it's candy. And it really is, like you said, one pill can kill. They're playing Russian roulette. You don't know what you're getting. He thought he was getting a Xanax, and clearly it had fentanyl in it.
A 20-year-old UGA student dies Thanksgiving morning after ingesting a counterfeit Xanax pill laced with fentanyl. Jack O'Kelly's mom now on a mission to stop another family from suffering the loss of a loved one.
Angela King is taking her battle in the name of her son Jack public. One pill can kill. And what's so scary, I'm throwing this out to Dr. William Maroney. Dr. Maroney has devoted himself to fighting the opioid crisis. Not only a renowned medical examiner and toxicologist, pathologist, but he's an opioid treatment expert and author of American Narcan. He has certainly put his money where his mouth and his brains and his education are. He has created a traveling mobile unit to fight fentanyl and other opioid deaths and addictions. Dr. William Maroney, you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. And can you explain in regular people talk what Angela is describing?
What Angela's describing is that the normal flow of experimentation with our children is, sometimes they grew up, they smoked a cigarette, they snuck a beer, they smoked a little bit of weed somewhere. Well, somewhere this has gone terribly wrong. And what our children are experimenting with is they're taking things that look like pharmaceutical safe products, but they're fraud. They're fake. And they're made to look this way because no teenager, no young adult would ever take an unknown powder and inject it. So the cartel and the drug dealers have taken narcotics like fentanyl and methamphetamine and put it in something that looks just like this. Now, this whole pill may not be solid fentanyl. It's pressed in secret places and basements and garages and warehouses because it's not a pharmaceutical. And the amount of fentanyl that will kill in this pill would fit on the head of a pencil. So
okay, I like it when you describe it to grains of salt, Dr. Maroney.
Grains of salt, yeah.
When you described for me the other day about the grains of salt, I was floored.
It's 3 or 4 grains of salt, something you almost can't see in a spoon. If you shake it out and you put it on a burger or a dog or a French fries, it disappears. It's so small. And this is what's in fraudulent pills. The idea that kids can get together and, maybe have a couple beers or they pass around pills that look good. You used to steal the pills from your mom and dad. They didn't come from drug dealers. That's all changed.
Well, another issue, Dr. William Maroney, and let me throw this out to Tom Smith and Raymond Giudice, and I wonder how Angela King is going to react to this. Tom Smith, former NYPD detective, co-host of Gold Shields podcast. Tom, now there's something called rainbow fentanyl. And when you look at it, it looks like the Smarties. I don't know if you had that growing up, but they're little round tablets and you bite them. They're rainbow colors, purple, pink, yellow. They're sugar. That's all they are. These rainbow fentanyl pills look like Smarties. They are now being marketed to children and teens, and they look like a little piece of candy, rainbow fentanyl.
Yeah, and that's why it's made that way, because it's an attraction and it's made to attract the younger crowd. And that's exactly why it's done. And that's the horrible part of it. And that's where the accountability needs to come in, that these dealers know exactly what they're doing. They know the amount they're putting in, they know the effects of it, and the accountability has to be raised now to a criminal level.
To Raymond Giudice, so very often, when we hear about a drug case, there is an automatic perception amongst a lot of people, including jurors, that, it's drugs. The victim was a drug addict. They knew what they were doing. That is not the case here. Jack is not the only one. I've got a whole table full of cases where even infants are exposed to fentanyl dust, fentanyl powder, and they die. I'm about to tell you about another young girl, just 19, who takes one pill. It's laced with fentanyl. Another girl in high school, 15, does the same before an exam. She dies. That's what's happening. And now the dope dealers are making them look like Smarties candies that you get at the Dollar Tree.
Look, they want to use less real drugs. This stuff is so cheap and so easy to make in China and North Korea, come through our borders illegally or on shipping containers, and then it's put to accelerate a smaller amount of a drug to get a bigger reaction. So they're getting a 20 times X impact, except that 20 times X will kill a vibrant, healthy young adult or an infant in another room. I agree completely with all the things that Ms. King has said. I applaud her bringing this to our attention as a community. A crack addict has to smoke an awful lot of crack to overdose. A heroin addict can do a lot of heroin before they die. As the doctor pointed out, a couple of grains of salt of fentanyl in a pill that's designed to look like a gummy bear can kill, as we see a beautiful young athlete, and it's just a shame. And this has to raise to a national level. It has to be sought in the State Department, our military, whatever. I don't want to get political, but I believe that this is a concerted effort by people in other countries that hate our country to ship this poison here, plus the profit motive.
Oh, yes, it's a huge profit. Back to Mom, Angela King, mother of Jack. Angela, when did you learn that one pill killed Jack? A pill that I believe he got from a guy that everybody seemed to know. You know, when somebody that you know says, here's an aspirin, here's an Actifed, here's a whatever, fill in the blank, and it's somebody you know and that all your friends know, you're like, oh, okay, and take it. You don't look at it and look it up on the internet and think, wow, is this laced with fentanyl? When did you learn what had happened?
Yeah, that's right. Well, what you said is absolutely accurate. These drugs now that are coming out, you can barely tell which is fake and which is real. You can't afford to take anything from anyone at any age unless it's prescribed to you from a doctor. You can't take any pills at all. We were shocked to learn when we received the toxicology and the autopsy results that Jack had taken a pill. And we took it upon ourselves to work with the detectives. We hacked into Jack's laptop, which coincidentally I'm on right now, which is pretty interesting to do this, and researched and found the drug dealer actually through our investigations, looking into his Venmo accounts, etc. And we found the drug dealer and turned all that evidence over to the detectives to go after him.
Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.
A 15-year-old Georgia high schooler overdoses in a school classroom. Mia Dieguez suffers a heart attack after swallowing a fentanyl-laced pill provided by another student. The teen dies sitting at her classroom desk.
It is raging across our country, and tonight with us, a mother still suffering over the death of her young boy, Angela King, with us, her son, Jack. So what do we know about this guy that she, the mom, managed to dig up in her son's social media? Listen.
Atlanta Homicide IDs Abram Rincon as the person from whom Jack purchased what he thought was Xanax. In the following weeks, an undercover makes multiple buys from Rincon. Those buys become PC, probable cause to search Rincone's apartment. And when they do, they find pills, illegal hallucinogenic mushrooms, mushroom chocolate bars, 4,550 edibles, THC wax, promethazine, M30 pills, moon rocks, over 35 pounds of marijuana, 8 guns, 2 shotguns, rifles and pistols, and a bulletproof vest.
Jack never had a chance against this guy. And worse, listen to this.
Abram Rincone's attorney, Jay Apt, says Rincone is not guilty and is looking forward to his day in court. Rincone has 5 drug sale counts pending, but his attorney says the drug trafficking and gun charges were dismissed. Rincone is then released on a signature bond. Jack O'Kelly's mother is outraged Rincone got bond, as is the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Apt said no mention of an overdose death was made at the first appearance where these things happened.
What the hey? Abram Rincone walks free on ROR, released on own recognizance. He didn't even have to put up a bond. And to boot, he's not charged with homicide, not a murder, when he is the one dealing pills, passing them off as Valium. They're laced with deadly fentanyl. No manslaughter charge, much less for not a murder, but there's not a voluntary or even an involuntary charge. Why is it that fatal fentanyl overdoses are skyrocketing across our country, yet there are very, very few death charges? And look, I came from the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. I love the District Attorney's Office, but what the hey? No bond and no manslaughter charge? How can this be, Ray Giudice?
Nancy, I suppose he came up for bond within 10 days of his arrest, and I don't believe the coroner's report would have been back and got given to the assistant district attorney in that courtroom to present to the judge to make probable cause, to make a bond for a manslaughter or a homicide charge. That would be my belief. Now, is a signature bond at the same time?
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold your horses, Giudice. You said that maybe the autopsy report for Jack wasn't back yet. Well, if I've got it now, and we all know about it, and Angela has it, they've got it. Okay?
It wasn't there at
so
the time
why
of the
haven't
bond
there
application.
been? But it is now. Where are the
Okay.
enhanced charges? You know, the grand jury meets in Fulton County every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, they've had plenty of time to upgrade this indictment to include a second-degree involuntary manslaughter. What about that?
All due respect, Nancy, you worked in a different Fulton County District Attorney's Office than that currently exists. And I'm not going to make excuses for them, but you're right. There's no reason that this hasn't been indicted. There's no reason there hasn't been a bond increase and a prosecution. Now, there are some gaps in the law, and that's what Ms. King is working on, and that our governor just signed a change in the law to make these prosecutions, I don't want to say easier, but more tools for the prosecution to use. So I do think they'll upgrade the charges, and I do think that Fulton County will prosecute the case, but also, and I'm sure Ms. King shares in many of our frustrations as local counsel here in Atlanta, that district attorney's office and the court system is just overwhelmed for a number of reasons.
Paige Gibbons, a 19-year-old New York college student, thinks she's taking Percocet, the counterfeit pills, 100% fentanyl.
Paige Gibbons, known as a, quote, do-gooder. She was a do-gooder. Now she's dead because of one pill. Listen.
Paige Gibbons, 19, graduates from Our Lady of Mercy High School in Rochester, New York. She's excited to start college classes at her father's alma mater, the Hobart and William Smith Colleges. Gibbons dreams of becoming a doctor or first responder and is dedicated to her goal, focusing a high school senior project on procuring female CPR mannequins for the school.
Did you hear that, Dr. William Maroney? Her nickname was Do-Gooder. She was working to provide mannequins to help fight all sorts of issues plaguing young women. Do you hear that? The so-called do-gooder dies of one single pill?
All across America, there's this tsunami of death that comes from fake pills. Where did we ever get this idea that it's okay to take Percocet? It's in our high schools in Michigan, but in Michigan we prosecute people that give fentanyl as killers. It's homicide. But this experimentation with Percocet is not going to go away. And we need to do two things in general society. We need to begin to educate everybody, not just families at risk, not just the poor, not just people who are disenfranchised. We need to educate everybody about what does an opioid overdose look like? What does a fentanyl overdose look like? Because this is going to happen everywhere. This is going to happen in libraries. This is going to happen in
Well,
football
here,
games.
speaking of what it looks like, we learned that this 19-year-old takes what she believes is one pill of Percocet. Listen.
After a whirlwind few months in college, Paige Gibbons returns home to Rochester for the Thanksgiving holiday. Gibbons spends the night at a sleepover catching up with her two best friends. The three girls decide to purchase Percocet pills through social media. While Gibbons and her friend take the pills, the third friend becomes uncomfortable with the situation and skips the pill. Paige Gibbons goes to sleep that night and never wakes up.
Joining us is Jack's mom, Angela King. Angela, I know that Paige Gibbons obtained what she thought was a single Percocet pill along with her friends on social media. How did Jack, I think I know the answer, but how did Jack get hooked up with this POC, Abram Rincon?
Well, actually, we found where Jack was, where he purchased it. This AB, as he goes by, had a Telegram site that he was selling the drugs, and then he was Venmoing. He was very brazen, had his own picture up on his Venmo account. He did go to North Atlanta High School, and that's where Jack went. So they knew each other.
Wait a minute, let me understand something. Angela King, you're telling me that Rincon was right there at the high school selling drugs?
He didn't sell it at the high school. Jack was in college. He went to high school with Jack. However, he was arrested previously for drugs when he was at North Atlanta. But we believe that connection happened. Rincon was a few years older than Jack, but they met in high school.
Oh, my stars. And back to you, Dr. William Maroney. That's how it happens. You know a guy who knows a guy. You went, hey, I went to the same high school as you. Hey, do you know X? Yeah, we played lacrosse together. We played football together. And the next thing you know this guy, AB, also known as Abram Rincon. So, long story short, there's a degree of familiarity. For instance, in Paige Gibbons' case, she was with all her friend girls, and they're having a sleepover, and they go, wow, let's go on social media and get a Valium. It was 100% fentanyl, Dr. Maroney.
Yes, it's the scourge. It's what's happening. People are buying what they think are Adderall. It's got fentanyl in it. People are buying what they think are Xanax. It's got fentanyl in it. People are buying Percocet. I mean, drug dealers used to at least assimilate opioids with opioids and stimulants with stimulants, but everything's mixed up and everything has fentanyl in it because it's the common precursor. Everything being imported is based on the smaller it is and the stronger, more potent it is, the easier it is to smuggle it. If you wanted to kill 100 people, you need this much heroin. And if you wanted to kill 100 people, you need this much fentanyl. That much.
And you know, another issue, Tom Smith, former NYPD, now star of the Gold Shield podcast at thegoldshieldshow.com. Tom, these teens, including Jack, have a degree of familiarity with the person that gives them the pill, and that makes them, the victim, trust the person because of those connections, those seeming connections. And with Paige Gibbons, who thinks she's getting a Percocet, she's with her friend girls. Obviously, one of them had done it before on social media, and it was okay. Now she's dead.
Yep. And what's the common denominator in all this? Social media and the electronics that are out there. The ease that these kids have to purchase these pills that are laced with fentanyl is so disturbing. And that's the problem. Law enforcement needs to go deep into the electronic footprints and get to the drug dealers. They're there. The communication is there and the relationship is there. It's got to get found, and these people need to be criminally charged with manslaughter, as we discussed throughout the show. There's got to be an end to this. When is enough enough? 100,000, 200,000? When is enough enough to make this a national security issue for our children?
We're Kate and Dave Gibbons from Pittsburgh, New York. Our daughter Paige was just 19 years old and had just started college when she and a friend were given pills they thought were Percocet. Unfortunately, it was fentanyl. Paige overdosed and died from one pill, one time.
Get the facts and free naloxone by mail. Visit oasas.ny.gov.
This isn't something that only happens to other people, and we don't want it to happen to anyone else.
Divino Nino Daycare in Kingsbridge, New York, is now the place of nightmares as trusting parents leave toddlers in the care of responsible caregivers when in reality they are leaving their children with alleged monsters selling deadly fentanyl out of the daycare. 1-year-old Nicholas Felice Dominici dies from fentanyl overdose, and 3 other children are hospitalized. Police find 22 pounds of narcotics and 1 kilogram cake of fentanyl being stored on top of children's playmats.
When this baby inhaled the fentanyl dust, when that fentanyl was moved to hide it in the daycare, when he breathed that in, he died. And as we go to air, joining me is Angela King, mother of Jack, a beautiful young man who dies from one pill. Angela, as we go to air tonight, I have learned about 3 Bay Area babies, 3 infants, Phoenix Castro, Winter Rayo, and Christopher Ferreira, all dead from exposure to fentanyl, just being exposed to it. And these are little infants. I was stunned when I heard about the daycare case, that just breathing in fentanyl can kill you. One pill killed Jack. I want to know, what is your message tonight?
First of all, thank you for thinking of me and giving me this time. It is so important to talk about it. We've got to educate. This needs to be a requirement in all school systems. We need to educate our children about the dangers of drugs. In addition, everyone needs to have naloxone. There's Narcan, but there's also another product called Cluxado, which is 8 milligrams. Narcan is 4 milligrams. Every minute matters. Everyone should have Cluxado on their person, in their cars, in the children's backpacks. It was just passed here in Georgia that now schools will all carry the Narcan. Everyone needs to know how to use it. It's a nose spray. This is the world we're living in. We have to get educated. We have to start talking about this. There needs to be a mandatory in schools drug program. Like I told you, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I want to do a campaign like that. This needs to be discussed every day on the news. Love your children. Jack knew better. All of our kids know better. And just know that they need to know that if they take that pill, if they're out having fun with their friends and they take that pill, that's it. You don't know. It's Russian roulette. And don't do that to your family. It's tragic.
Angela, I want you and Dr. Maroney to know that you have already impacted a life, mine. A new doctor is treating my mom who lives with us and had given her a different kind of painkiller for her spine. I went in her room to take her breakfast like I do every morning, and this was preparing for today, and she was out cold. I didn't know what had happened. I immediately got her, and it was hard. The twins had to help me into the back of the car. We took her to the hospital, and by even using her prescribed dosage of an opioid painkiller, she was out. They saved her life. My mother, with Narcan, they saved her life, and it threw her into a fit like I've never seen that lasted 8 or 9 hours. I thought the Narcan was going to kill her. The Narcan saved her life at her age. An accidental, completely following a new prescription as prescribed, nearly killed her. You have already affected so many lives, including mine. You too, Dr. Maroney. I first heard about Narcan from you. You know, again, to Angela, parents don't think their child would ever do this. That's what you thought about Jack. That's what parents all across the country, me as parents, the Gibbonses, all these parents, they have these wonderful children, and they have no idea that one pill can kill. Again, Angela, speak to parents now.
Start talking to your kids. Start talking to everyone. This fentanyl crisis that we're in is getting worse. It is going to get worse until we can close the borders. And there's something that happens on a national, federal level. We're in a major crisis. More children are going to die. We have to start talking about it. We have to start making a difference and educate your children, love them up. Just know that this could happen to your children. And unfortunately, this is the world we live in. Buy the Narcan, learn how to use it. It needs to be in every place, in concert arenas, in football stadiums. Cluxado is now putting it into Emory University in a vending machine. It needs to be in every school campus. There needs to be mandatory education. And I'm going to do anything and everything in my power to make that happen.
To everyone, please know you can dial toll-free 800-662-HELP, 800-662-4357, or 988. Just like you call 911 or 411, 988, send. We stop to remember an American hero, Horan Randy Tyler, killed in the line of duty. Officer Tyler served over 27 years in LE law enforcement, survived by grieving wife Tui, sons Hunter and Eli, daughters Shelley and Sydney. American hero, Officer Horan Randy Tyler. Thanks to our guests, but especially to you for being with us and our new MSM family. But a special thank you to Jack's mother joining us tonight, Angela King. Nancy Grace signing off. See you tomorrow night, 6 and 9 o'clock sharp Eastern. And until then, good night, friend. Please join us on our mission to find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app where you can get all of our content where we, in our own way, seek justice.